today we're doing a cooking show where we're going to show you how to make a harvest bowl. So, you know, if you've ever seen me before doing cooking shows, that I like to cook with the seasons. I like to cook according to how I'm feeling or whatever your health status is. You know, a lot of times when we think about what we want to eat, we're not really thinking through it mindfully. So today it's, you know, getting fallish, and I'm looking at all the produce that's coming in season and being harvested right now, and thinking that, you know, for dinner maybe not want something super heavy. I love bowls because you can kind of have some of everything in there, mix them if you want to, and you can personalize it. So we're gonna make a harvest bowl, which kind of a salad too, a harvest salad, harvest bowl, however you want to call it, and use produce that's in season right now. But it's gonna be vegan, so that means no meat, nothing in here had a mother or a face. So let's get to it. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna start off. We'll show you these are just some mixed greens, so it's all different types of greens, but you can use whatever leafy green you want. You could actually use some arugula, spinach, whatever, but I love this, and I see the color. And that's one thing I love about fall too, is making really beautiful, colorful dishes, because all those colors are nutrients. And you know, usually when we eat a salad, we think of everything being raw, except maybe the protein if you're doing that. But we're gonna roast some vegetables, because I love roasted vegetables. And we're gonna pair the roasted vegetables with the crisp, raw salad greens. And we're gonna do some really special stuff, like, you know what, people's fascination with bacon. So it's plant-based, so we're not going to use bacon, but we're going to use these shiitake mushrooms, and we're going to roast them too and kind of flavor them and get them really crispy and top our salad with it. So we'll get that smokiness of bacon, that crispy kind of crunch, but without the animal protein. And we're also going to use an ingredient that's gaining in popularity, which is jackfruit. So we're going to use some jackfruit. That's going to be, actually jackfruit can be a protein substitute. We're also going to have some quinoa, and quinoa is a complete protein. So this bowl is going to have everything you need, all your protein, your minerals, your nutrients, all in there. And we're going to use some fresh herbs and some dried herbs to punch up the flavor. So let's start off with our veggies. So I have some sunflower oil, and you're probably thinking, why isn't she using olive oil? Isn't that what you do? No, especially if you're using extra virgin olive oil, you don't want to cook with that. It doesn't have a high smoke point. And so that's a finishing oil. I know you see all those chefy people using it on TV, but I'm a community health educator, so I cook from a nutrition standpoint. And so I'm gonna use some sunflower oil because it's going in the oven to be roasted. And ahead of time, I actually have some sweet potatoes roasting in the oven too, because we want all different types of flavors going on in this, right? We're gonna have the bitterness of the Brussels sprouts, you know, the kind of smoky crunchiness of the shiitake mushrooms, and then jackfruit has its own kind of flavor. So it'll be kind of like a little party in our mouth, right? So first I'm just gonna put, not liberally, but just a little bit of oil on my veggies so they'll brown off, and also get the herbs to stick. And then one of the things you can find in your farmer's market right now is a lot of fresh herbs. So this is rosemary. So let's put some fresh rosemary on here. You know, one thing about eating plant-based, well, period anyway, because to me plant-based is just another way of cooking. You know, to me it's food that we eat. It's nothing like weird or exotic or any of that. It's just food. And one of the things you want to do no matter what kind of food you're making is you want to make it flavorful. This is fresh thyme, that was rosemary. So now I'm going to put some, and you notice how I'm stripping these, pulling the opposite direction of the way they go on there, and it comes off really easily. So fresh thyme. You don't want to overdo it. And I have a little bit of dried oregano. I'm not going to put a lot on here, just a little bit to add, because I want this to be kind of herbaceous, right? This is my herbaceous mix. And we have some black pepper. And that's, you know, pepper's always to taste. Everybody got their comfort level. And a little bit of basil, dried basil. Okay. Now I want to add a little bit of sea salt, and you know, remember, I always talk about when you're using salt, to do it according to your health status. So if you're dealing with hypertension or heart problems or have any kind of health issues like that where sodium is a problem, you know your levels. If you're salt sensitive, and all of us really should be cutting back on salt, but really, if you have any of those issues, you want to temper the amount of salt you use. And that's why I don't use seasonings with salt in them. I prefer to add it. That way I know how much is in there. So now I'm just going to make sure all my veggies are coated with the herbs. And then I'm going to put them in the oven with the sweet potato. So the sweet potatoes I did kind of a Moroccan style. It has some cumin, a little bit of red pepper. It has a little bit of smoked paprika, some cinnamon. So it has a different flavor. So we're going to have, you know, different flavors going on, but they're all going to come together and kind of, you know, hit different parts of your mouth and make your food taste really good and a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven. And actually my sweet potatoes are ready. So I'm going to take those out. So I don't know if you can see my sweet potatoes. See that? They've caramelized. They smell really good. So just a little bit of cinnamon, not a lot, but it kind of gives you that kind of North African vibe, right? So we're gonna put that to the side. And the next thing I want to put in the oven is these are shiitake mushrooms. I like shiitake for this, but you can use any mushroom. But shiitake seem to work really well for making that crispy kind of bacony vibe. So again, to get a little browning on there, I'm going to use a little bit of oil, not a lot. Massage the oil in there. And now we're going to use some smoked paprika. That's what's going to give it the smokiness, kind of reminiscent of bacon. These are so good. I'm telling you, when I teach classes and we do these ahead of time and put them up, you know, to top our salads, every time I look around, someone's kind of doing this and putting some in their mouth, because this is a great snack too. It's almost like eating a chip. So a little bit of salt. And maybe a little bit of white pepper instead of the black pepper. Just a little bit. And I think I'll add a little bit more smoked paprika just to make sure we got that smoky going on. This is going to top our salad like you would top it with crumbled bacon, kind of like that, except with all that fat and cholesterol. So make sure these are spread evenly. And we're going to stick those in the oven. Okay, so that's done. And while that's going, I'm going to switch gloves for a minute. And we're going to work on our jackfruit. Put a little bit of oil in this pan. Let's use this one. And so this is green jackfruit. I'm from Jamaica originally, so I grew up eating jackfruit as a fruit, like ripe. And so first when people started doing jackfruit, I was like, really? Jackfruit in a savory dish? But this is green jackfruit. And who knew that it had, you know, a significant amount of protein in it. And carbs, but significant amount of protein. So I'm just pulling them apart a little bit. Got my oil going. Put them in the pan. And I'm going to use the same herbs I used on the veggies to season my jackfruit. Some garlic powder, some onion powder would be good on here. Some gonna add a little bit of that. And I got some tamari, which is gonna add some umami. So that's what even bumps up the savoriness in plant-based food, is using something like mushrooms or soy sauce or amino acids. That gives you that umami taste. So it always like add that next layer of savoriness that if you're a meat eater, you're used to. And we're just gonna let this cook. And while this is cooking, what we're gonna do is make I have some quinoa already cooked, and we're gonna actually make a quinoa pilaf. So we're gonna have this beautiful harvest bowl with some fresh, crisp greens, some roasted veggies, and a quinoa pilaf, and topped with some smoky shiitake mushroom bacon and some jackfruit. So you notice I have peppers are in season right now. Everybody got peppers. If you have a garden, you have peppers. If you go to the farmer's market, they got peppers. And I like to get the colorful ones because they have a lot more vitamin C than the green ones. And you know these are really just green peppers that have ripened, right? So I have yellow, I have orange, I have red. Cut them in strips. We just have to check in on our jackfruit every so often and stir it. Make sure we're getting some caramelization on all sides. Okay. Have yellow, orange, red peppers. You could use green peppers too, but I like to use the colorful ones because, like I said, the color means nutrition. And I have a red onion. So I usually don't cook with red onions, but you know, harvest to me is like all these saturated colors. I usually like to use red onions raw, but I want this bowl to be just like beautiful and vibrant. So I'm gonna use red onions, and I'll cut those in strips also. And that's good. And I'm just going to saute these up really well. The great thing about eating with the seasons is whatever season you're in, if you're using the produce that's growing in that season, you're really preparing your body for the next season. So all these fall vegetables is full of color and really deep color and lots of vitamin C is preparing your body to weather the winter. Right? Because we need vitamin C and all that to fight off COVID-19, the flu, all those things. Because what we're doing is boosting our immune system. So, garlic, not just for vampires, but it actually helps to boost your immune system. So I'm going to put some fresh garlic in here. And I use lots of garlic when I cook. I'm not afraid of garlic. If you're really worried about having bad breath or something, think about this. Would you rather have bad breath, or would you rather go through the flu season and be pretty protected from getting the flu or whatever else happens to be lurking out there? I have quite a bit of garlic. I'm just going to rough chop it. I don't really want big chunks of garlic, but here we go. So we're going to add some garlic to the pot. And we're going to go back to our jackfruit, make sure that's getting good and caramelized. And you don't want to overcook this. I don't want to go full out caramelized because I'm making a salad. So we're doing fresh, raw, and we're doing cooked, but we still want the cooked vegetables to have a little bite to them, a little crispness. So I think we're good right now with where the peppers and the onions are. And again, I'm going to use some of the same herbs that I used in the roasted veggies. And I'm going to notice I'm putting them in now. I'm putting them in a little bit of black pepper. You can use cayenne pepper too. Cayenne is another pepper that's good for this time of the year. Because as we're going into the fall, we want to transition from eating a lot of cooling foods, which would be just a raw salad. Like we eat a lot of raw salads and raw fruit. in the summer because we're trying to keep our body cool. But as we're going into the winter, we want to bring some warmth, right? I've got some seasonings in here. I can smell that. Now I have this cooked quinoa. And you know, when I cook grains, rice, quinoa, whatever it is, I always try to make extra and keep it in the fridge. Kind of like meal prep because it comes in handy. This was already cooked. It comes in handy for times like this so you don't have to do everything from scratch. I'm going to use a little bit more of this tamari. I'm going to use a little of this onion powder. I know I have onion in there already, but the red onions have more of a sweet flavor, and then this onion powder is more earthy. Okay, this smells good, it looks good. Let's take this off the stove. Let's check on our veggies. Oh, our smoky bacon is done, so let's get that out. Really want to be careful with the shiitakes. Let me stir these up. They might could go like a couple of minutes longer, but you really want to keep an eye on them. You want them to get crispy, but they will burn really easily. Remember, the herbs aren't just for seasoning, they're also for health too. So let's give everything else about another 5 minutes. Remember, we don't want to roast the vegetables so they get mushed, because we want to keep that texture because we are making a salad. And so we're putting the hot vegetables on top of the salad, so it's kind of wilted a little bit, but without really cooking it, right? So you could serve this family style, which of course this bowl could feed several people. And I just like to make it pretty. So we have our greens. I have a pile of the jackfruit. We have some stir-fried quinoa with some pretty colorful peppers in there. I'm gonna add, now these have cooled off, and this is gonna add a sweetness, right? We have all the savoriness going on. This is gonna add a little sweet kick, the sweet potatoes. Roasting them brings out the natural sugars in them. See how beautifully they're caramelized? That's from the natural sugar. I didn't add any to it. I didn't add, if you find that you have some sweet potatoes that's not very sweet and you wanna add a little bit of sweetness, you could drizzle it with maybe some maple syrup. So the only thing left for us to add to this is our roasted veggies. Let's check on those. Remember, we don't want them to overcook. We still want a little bit of crispness to them. And, oh yeah, so let's do the mushrooms first. While I'm dealing with these mushrooms, I'm just gonna take them out and put them in this pan just so we can see them a little better. So let's grab our roasted veggies. And here's another tip, meal prep. And now we're gonna top this with our smoky mushrooms. Oh my God, this looks so good. So there you go. Our harvest salad, harvest bowl, however you wanna call it. We have everything. We have veggies, we have green leafy vegetables, we have a root vegetable. We have a protein source in the jackfruit, but also the quinoa, because quinoa actually is a complete protein. Most grains are missing some of the amino acids, but quinoa has all of them. So you have a really healthy meal that's gonna feed your body, help you to build your immune system, because God knows we need a healthy immune system right now. We need those antibody soldiers to keep us healthy, keep us going through the winter without getting sick. And this is it's fuel and it's medicine, but it's gonna taste delicious.